Wow. Big surprises on NXT. Man, we're going to talk about this. NXT was pretty good, even though there was some errors. But then again, nothing's ever perfect. But as long as it's fun, I'm down for it. So NXT was indeed fun. January the 9th, 2024. Let's get right into it. Nikita Lyons, Blair Davenport, they're fighting backstage. We're told they've been fighting for 20 minutes. But for somehow they managed to change clothes. They're wearing different clothes in the backstage fight than they are when they stumble to the ring, because they're wearing their ring gear when they get to the ring. Nikita Lyons, they work on her leg, and Blair Davenport hits her with a chop block and actually wins fairly clean with the Kamigoye, which is the knee strike. And it's probably one of the better times that the knee strike actually looked good. I'm surprised to see Nikita Lyons lose relatively clean. Always an interesting thing to have the heels win clean. Nikita Lyons, oh boy, she's a big, beautiful girl. She really is. But my goodness, I don't think she's got much in the tank in terms of stamina. She seemed to have got blown up pretty quickly. I think it's just a lack of ring time due to her injury. And she hasn't been back that long. She's been back, what, 3 weeks now, maybe? She probably needs more time to get it together. But this match wasn't very long. It didn't overstay its welcome. Told a simple story of Blair Davenport working the knee that she injured before Nikita Lyons was taken out. And Nikita lost. But they told the story that this thing is not over. And Nikita Lyons is probably going to end up being back. Which is why I think there should have been some kind of, chicanery into the finish instead of doing it a clean one. I don't understand the point of doing a clean job. All right, Cody does the narrative work for the Dusty Cup. And in this, he mentions that NXT is the Ellis Island of sports entertainment. It's the open borders of sports entertainment. It's the sanctuary city of sports entertainment. For those of you who don't know, Ellis Island is where all the immigrants used to come to America on boats, specifically the Jews, the Italians, the Irish, during, I believe, the 1910s and 1920s, back when we used to have real open borders because we didn't have a welfare state. So people could just pop up and be Americans. And, outside of the Ku Klux Klan, nobody really cared. But it's a different world today. But saying that NXT is sort of the Ellis Island of sports entertainment, being it's a place where everybody comes together. The jocks, the models, the independent wrestlers, they all just show up here on the shores of the Performance Center. And it's a meritocracy from there. You rise and fall on your own. Yeah. Somebody jokingly called it the Epstein Island, which I was like, look, there are some young people around here, but I don't know if they ain't young enough to be on Epstein's Island. All right. Anyway, Carmelo Hayes had good news. Him and Trick Williams are going to be a tag team in the Dusty Cup. Trick Williams is like, I don't know. I want to stay focused for my match with Ilya, but they don't know when Ilya is going to be back. So Melo wants to win the tag team championships until Ilya Dragunov returns, and in which case Trick Williams will stay sharp, he'll stay busy, and he could be 2-title Trick. That's the plan. Okay. I like this idea of them being in the Dusty Cup. I have been saying that they need to move this story along. I'm sure Dragunov's injury or whatever it was has slowed up business here. But I think adding them to the Dusty Cup actually gives the Dusty Cup some legitimacy in terms of storyline element. Because Trick and Melo are the two guys you would expect to win this tournament. But they're not going to win, and it's likely because they're not on the same page. Their first opponents are Idris Enofe and Malik Blade, who are backstage hyping themselves up about how Trick and Melo are barely friends these days, while they're the best of friends, and they've known each other as long as Trick and Melo have known each other. And they get accosted, I guess you could say, by a girl who I feel like I should know who she is, but I don't. She's very energetic, almost like Thea Hill. She's trying to be their personal trainer and trying to show them some fit tips or something like that. And she says, if you guys want to get 6-packs, I'm your girl. And they open their shirts to reveal the but they've already got 6-packs. So that was funny. I did like that. Okay, so they did 2 Dusty Cup matches on this show. The first one was Gallus losing to Baron Corbin and Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is becoming beloved by the audience again. It's happened organically. Again, it's coming from the hot tag segment when he came in and did all kinds of stuff, and he was super over. Nobody gives a damn about Gallus. All these European guys seem to just be sinking. I mean, or floating. Whatever kind of turd they are. In any event, Baron Corbin, Braun Breaker, they won the match. The second match, Hank and Tank were defeated by Axiom and Nathan Fraser. I stumbled across some things, I guess it came from 4chan, where these guys are doing power levels in terms of Axiom. Basically, apparently Axiom wins more in certain colors. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. But Green Axiom, who is what we got in this match, apparently wins more than any other Axiom color. And how much of an autist do you have to be to come up with a chart to how many matches Axiom wins in black, how many he wins in red, how many he wins in green? God, that's AEW fan level of autism right there. Jesus, what kind of time do you have in your day? Anyway, Hank and Tank, they're not very good, so they were just basically stepping stones. So the Dusty Cup is only 8 teams, I think, and now half of that is over with, and I fully expect the finals to end up being Trick and Mello versus the eventual winners, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. That's what I expect anyway. I'm not really a huge fan of the Dusty Classic, but I'm okay with it this year because Trick and Mello are going to be in it, and I'm fine. I'm fine with those guys being in it. It gives it some storyline element. All right, so they did Tiffany Stratton on the ranch, and this was good. The various segments with Tiffany Stratton on the ranch. It could have been better, but it was good. So she showed up wearing a bikini top with a fur, I don't know what you call it, fur sleeves or whatever. She was wearing really high boots, a little cowboy hat. She basically came to be super pretty, and she thought she wasn't going to do any work. So Fallon Henley planned to have clothes on the side for her, but she refused to wear them. So now she had to basically do all of this hard work in her regular clothes with no gloves or anything like this. She was walking around in high heels, stumbling and slipping because she wanted to be pretty and she didn't really want to actually do anything. Her first task, I think, was moving around some hay in a wheelbarrow. And so she's complaining about her shoes, which, of course, she chose to wear. And then her next task was actually to wash a horse named Buttercup. And the horse, of course, had shit all over the place. And Tiffany, she's, scrubbing the horse's leg. She's scrubbing under the belly. Her hair's getting all mussed up. She's getting dirty. And she thinks once she's cleaned the horse that's it. She's done for the day. She's going to get out of here. She's taken off. And then she's told, well, you can't put a clean horse in a dirty stall. So now she's got to clean the stall. So she has to go in there and clean up all the poop and hay and all this other stuff out of the horse's stall. And, of course, Fallon Henley is laughing at her. They're chuckling and having a good time. Tiffany Stratton finally finishes her job. She said this is the worst day of her life. She's going to erase this entire day from her memory, and she's going to leave. So then she starts to storm away, but she slips in horse poop and falls in its drinking water. Then, of course, she throws a tantrum, kicking water all over the place. It was entertaining, I would say. It could have been better, could have been funnier, but it was not bad. Of course, it was the update of the Von Erich, Jimmy Garvin thing. I think Tiffany Stratton being in her usual clothes takes away from it. I get it. You want to keep her in character, but you would think that somebody like her would show up in like all kinds of protective gear so she wouldn't have to touch the animals and she wouldn't have to touch the hay. It seems kind of out of character that she would willingly touch the hay with her hands. Touch this shovel with her hands. this wheelbarrow with her hands, or bring her nice shoes to this place. You know, you would think she would have shown up in like a hazmat suit. And, you know, she looked like an astronaut walking around there. That would have been even funnier because she's still being very, very separate from everything else. You know, even Fallon Henley wasn't rugged enough to clean the horse in a bikini top. You know, like she went hard. Like when she's out here moving wheelbarrows and heels, like she made the job harder on herself. And I get it. That's the point, is that she was making, you know, her ego was making it more difficult than it needed to be. But I thought it would have been funnier if she'd have, you know, did everything, but outsmarted, you know, Fallon Henley by, you know, covering herself up and wearing a helmet and all this kind of stuff, not knowing what kind of gross things she would have to touch. And then maybe after she, you know, is done for the day, she makes the mistake of slipping and falling into some horse poop or some horse water or whatever, after she went through all the trouble of trying to protect herself. But it was an okay segment. She didn't learn her lesson, which was the funniest thing, is Fallon Henley was trying to teach her a lesson about hard work. But instead it just made Tiffany Stratton even more elitist by saying that she actually pities Fallon Henley and her pathetic life for having to do this stuff every day. And I thought it was pretty funny. It was also very humorous how orange both of these people were. Tiffany Stratton's face is incredibly uneven when it comes to the tanner she's wearing. And Fallon Henley's face is incredibly bronze too, but at least it's a little bit more even. But I thought it was enjoyable segment. Apparently Tiffany Stratton only had to be her ranch hand for a day, so that's fine. But I would imagine she's going to get some kind of revenge, right? I mean, she has to, right? Next, Lara Valkyrie. She's in the ring and she's talking. Oh my God. Oh boy. She basically just says she doesn't know who's going to be up for Vengeance Day. She talked to Shawn Michaels and they came up with this idea of a 20-woman battle royal for next week. And when it comes down to the last four, it's going to be a fatal four-way. So before we move forward, let's talk about how dumb that idea is. What's the point of doing a battle royal that then morphs into a fatal four-way? That is a very TNA idea. That's how you know guys like Jeremy Borash are working in NXT. They're bringing some of their TNA ideas to NXT. Now, it makes NXT different than the main roster because they're not doing everything the same. And also, considering the Royal Rumble is upcoming, you might not want to do a full battle royal, you know, at that particular point in time. So I understand the idea of trying to be original and trying to, you know, avoid doing overloads of battle royals. But I don't like the idea of a battle royal that transitions into a one-on-one match, and let alone a fatal four-way. But that's what they plan to do. So 16 women are going to get eliminated, and then the final four are going to go into a fatal four-way match. And the winner of that match will fight Lara Valkyrie at Vengeance Day for the Women's Championship. All of this is interrupted by Lola Vice, who comes to the ring and she's cutting a promo, and she's a very mid promo. Beautiful girl. Fine. I mean, fine. Well built. But promo's kind of mid. So basically she said because of Tatum Paxley, she's not the women's champion right now. And then Lara Valkyrie cuts into her saying that, you know, hey, with your MMA background, I thought you'd be the one that'd be turning this place upside down. I want to fight you. I want to fight the cage fighter. But all you seem to do is talk and shake your ass for Instagram. So, well, Lola Vice, that is all she does, really. Anyway, Nikita Lyons, same thing. Anyway, Lola Vice says that these people, all they do is see her shake her ass and talk. And Lola Vice says that the people follow her because they're sheep and they love her Latina heat. I'm telling you, that's not going to get over. That was going to rub some people the wrong way. In any event, Lara Valkyrie said the only heat she sees or feels is the one coming from Elektra Lopez, who knows that Lola Vice is not going to use her championship match for a tag team title. And they got in each other's faces. They got into a fight. Tatum Paxley came out there to help her, and they agreed to do a tag team match next week. So Lara Valkyrie is attempting to drive a wedge in between Elektra Lopez and Lola Vice, because Elektra Lopez thinks that they're going to be the tag team champions, but Lola Vice is only out for herself. Okay. I don't see, like, there's no tag team titles for them to wrestle for. Like, they got rid of the NXT Tag Team Championships for the girls. So, are you saying Lola Vice is going to have to jump to Monday Night Raw and wrestle the midgets? Which, I guess she could, but no. No, go ahead and do Lola Vice as a singles champion. If you're ready for that, of course. Which, I'm okay with it. Lola Vice, in terms of promo, she needs some work, but that's why she's in NXT. Same thing with Lara Valkyrie. Lara Valkyrie was wearing somebody's shower curtains for pants, and I don't have any idea why she chose to do that, but she did it, and it got my spurs jingling and jangling. All right, the Metaphor. They're backstage making fun of Briggs, Jensen, and Henley for breaking up, saying they broke up while we cake up. Josh Briggs wanted a rematch against Noam Dar. He was promptly told no, and ended up challenging Oro Mensah instead and ended up beating him, but nobody really cares about that. Ava Rain is backstage. She's still doing her liaison thing. She's first dealing with Luca Cristofano, who is complaining about losing a match, claiming that his foot was under the rope. She said, look, ain't nothing I can do about that, but I guess we could, look into it later. Dragon Lee is back. Lexus King immediately gets into his face and has a contract for a North American Championship match, saying that, well, I guess if you're here and your visa issues are handled, then it's open challenge season, but no reason to go to the ring because I got this contract right now. Dragon Lee signed the contract and walked away. Later on, Oba Femi is talking about his contract and his plan to use it to become the NXT champion. For no apparent reason, Lexus King gets in the face of Oba Femi and brags about how he got a championship match without having to win the tournament, and then said if he had won the tournament, he would have been the NXT champion and he would have beat Oba Femi. And of course he says, well, it didn't happen because of Trey Bearhill. So then Oba Femi looks at Lexus King and he's got fire in his eyes because Lexus King is very annoying. And then he asks the microphone holder, who I forget who that was, if the Dragon Lee Lexus King match was tonight. And she says, yes, it is. So that was a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway to what was going to happen. So Dragon Lee versus Lexus King was the main event. Funny business here. Lexus King tries a drop kick from inside the ring outside. Kind of like a tope, but it's a missile drop kick. He got caught in the middle rope. His body, his legs got tangled up in the ropes. It was probably one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in terms of a wrestler trying to do a move. And not only did he botch it, he tangled himself in the ropes. Abysmal stuff here. And the lack of athleticism was really telling in this match. Dragon Lee wins the match with Destino, which, if you know what Destino is, the finisher of Tetsuya Naito. And he won the match. Before we move on, Lexus King. That really terrible spot was just one of many issues I had with him in this match. He looked a little off. I'm not sure what was happening here, but he's definitely had better matches than this. And I certainly think that he and Dragon Lee could have had better matches than this, a better match than this. But it was fine for what it was, outside of that one big botch and, the Trey Bearhill run in, because they're still not done doing the Trey Bearhill thing. Okay, Dragon Lee, he won the match. Oh yeah, this is what I was meant to say. Griff Garrison worked with Edge on Collision, and he cut one promo and worked probably about a 6 or 7 minute match with Edge, and that instantaneously told everybody that Griff Garrison was better than Brian Pillman Jr., and he was the worst member of the Varsity Blondes. He was the worst. I mean, Julia Hart is better than him, and Griff Garrison is better than him. You know how AEW fans are. And I said, I didn't really defend him because I know that they hate him. They hate Brian Pillman. I still don't understand why. But that when he got tangled up in the ropes, I was like, oh, brother, you have just basically sacrificed yourself to the botches account. That's what you've done on the same week, well, the same calendar week that Griff Garrison wrestles Edge in a solid match. It wasn't like it was good. It was solid. You tangled yourself in the ropes. You're not going to beat the Jannetty accusations that way, Lexus King. Anyway, after Dragon Lee wins, Oba Femi comes out to cash in his contract. And they have a very short match, probably about 3 or 4 minutes. Oba Femi hits a couple of big power moves. The finish itself was absolutely diabolical. Dragon Lee goes for Destino, his finisher, in which Oba Femi overpowers it and then uses a power bomb. It's kind of like part Undertaker Last Ride, part Jackknife, and it was critical. What a hell of a power bomb. And Oba Femi pins Dragon Lee to win the North American Championship. Oba Femi is the man. He got the rocket strapped to him. This is the right decision. Oba Femi rules. We don't know when Ilya Dragunov is going to be back, so there's no point in waiting. Dragon Lee is probably going to get moved back to SmackDown. You don't really need him on this roster now. You just needed him to take the belt from Dominic Mysterio, who was going to lose it to Dragon Lee, but since Wesley. But now that Wesley is injured, they needed somebody to fill in. And they used Dragon Lee to fill in for Wes. Now Dragon Lee, now that his visa issues or whatever are cleared up, he's probably going to be in the U.S. for a little bit longer. He can go back to doing his regular job on the main roster. He does not need the belt. He did a good job with it. All he really did was open challenges, which should tell you that he was never in the plan anyway. And then I guess they figured that Oba Femi is far enough in his development that he can carry a title. And I'm with it. I'm with this. This dude is huge. He seems to have some charisma. He could talk a little bit. This rules. This is good. Yeah. Put this big heater right there and let him cook the division. This could work. I like this. You don't have to do this with everybody. Not everybody should get pushed this fast. But Oba Femi has enough in his skill set that this is believable. And plus, he cashed in this thing after Dragon Lee just had a match. So it's 100% believable. He's much bigger than Dragon Lee anyway. So I like this. It was good. Can't wait to see what they do with him from now on. All right. OTM, they lose to the DAngelo family. This match was for the tag team titles. Stax and Tony D'Angelo were dressed like the Quebecers for some reason. I didn't get that. Scripps tried to interfere by climbing the top rope. He ended up getting pushed off by Adrian Rizzo. He ends up knocking over one of his boys, and that leads to the finish and the family winning. Later, after the match, OTM is kind of pissed about losing. They're trying to figure out what's the next step, how they're going to take it to the next level. And then they get to their car, and there is thick-ass Jada Parker. Jesus, Miss Parker. Anyway, she is disappointed in OTM that when it comes time to apply pressure, they're not doing it. They're not doing it right. And they like, look, we got this handle, yada, yada, yada. She's like, okay, which one of y'all got Rizzo? And they started looking at each other and was like, And she was like, exactly. Let's talk business. So Scripps and Jada Parker are going to talk about maybe her joining the group. And they adding girls to every group now. Okay, I don't have a problem with that, especially if the characters are similar or if the characters are blank. Like Jada Parker is a sort of a blank character, but she is kind of hood in how she presents her character. Okay, put her with OTM. Let's see how it works out. They're about to do a race war, though. That's what it seems like. We're about to do the Guidos and the Negroes. They're about to, it's about to be like a Bronx Tale up in here, But I'm for it. I'm all for it. Just group up your like objects. I'm okay with that. Do your thing, boy. NXT Anonymous catches JC Jane scheming. She's got all the girls of Chase University. And she says that Chase University is in a crisis, but she's got a plan to pull them out as long as the girls do exactly what she says. And they all pretty much agreed to it. But Maddie Ranowski, who is an independent wrestler who was recently signed to WWE, she was actually in this scene. So apparently they're going to put her with Chase University. I don't think this is a long-term thing. I think this is probably she's just being an extra for now, because she wasn't announced or she didn't say anything. So they're probably doing this as a way to just get her on screen, and maybe they'll introduce her later. But what could JC Jane be up to? Is she about to, say, hey, I had a mentor about 2 years ago who started up a OnlyFans account, and if you're trying to get some money, no, I don't think she'll have all these supposed college students doing OnlyFans, but weirder things have happened. It's a wrestling show, for God's sakes. All right. Cory J defeated GG Dolan, and the match was probably one of GG Dolan's better matches, even though it looked like it was wrestling underwater. There's no speed to either one of these girls. There's no agility to either one of them. For Christ's sake, what is going on here? This is another match in which the heel won clean. GG Dolan went for her finish, but Cory J grabbed the referee, and that kind of blocked the finish. So then Cory J hit her DDT and won the match after a kick to the stomach, which is as clean as it's going to get when it comes to, Cory J or anything like that. But whatever happened to the old roll up with the foot on the ropes and, things that make oomph around here. I completely forgot about Gallus. After they lost earlier, they were backstage upset. And then Joe Coffey decided he was going to pick a fight with Ridge Holland, and said that since he's not in the Brawling Brutes anymore, he's not sure that he's going to be able to survive NXT alone. So that means that Ridge Holland is either going to have to get somebody to help him, or he's going to be fighting Gallus by himself. I'm kind of tired of all of these guys. Gallus, all these European dudes. Ridge Holland is okay. I haven't seen that much out of him, and he hasn't annoyed me yet. But most of these other guys are no good. All right. So NXT was really good this week. Surprise finish with Oba Femi winning the title, which was tremendous. Got my Spurs all jingling and jangling. Humor with Tiffany Stratton doing the ranch hand work. We got further the storyline between Trick and Mello, where now it's going to be a can they coexist between two guys who claim to be friends already? So that ought to be interesting, right? They already claim to be friends, but can they coexist when it comes to the Dusty Cup? You got Chase University. They're up to no good. OTM is going to get a new member. The tag team division in NXT has been absolutely destroyed. I think all the call-ups and firings and releasings and stuff has completely destroyed the tag team division in NXT. The women's definitely need another title. I know Booker T said that it's time for a second title for the women, but they need to just bring back the tag belts, for Christ's sake. That's the one, you want to do something for a lot of the girls, tag belts would be the best. Having 2 singles championships is okay, but they need time to develop tag teams, because some of these girls are green, and you could tag up a girl who's green with a sort of a senior girl on the roster, and they could do things together. It's sort of like, Toxic Attraction and stuff, where Mandy would actually be a part of the team. That to me seems like a much better way of utilizing the women's division, rather than saying, well, the division is so deep, they need a second women's title. It's like, no, they don't. Just give them a tag team championship so that there's something else in the division to fight for. There's something else in the division that matters. And they won't do it. I don't even understand the idea of them taking the tag team division away from the girls in NXT in the first place. The reason why they even had a tag team championship is because of how well they booked the women's division in NXT. What's the point of taking it away from them? I don't think they need a secondary women's title, though. That's probably just one belt too many. There's already too many belts in NXT, especially with that Heritage Cup. So everything moved in a positive direction this week. They might try to actually get people to like Braun Breaker again, which, I think near the end of his title run, people was kind of burnt out on him. But they seem to be back on track with him as a heel, and now he's going back and forth with Baron Corbin, kind of entertaining. There has some possibilities there. The rest of everything else in NXT seem to be doing very well. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
Yeah. We're just gone.